What's up, boys and girls? It's Jager here, and we're finally on the semi-finals of the Knights of the Old Wars. It's been a journey. There has been some really amazing plays among all the players. It's been just amazing, and I really can't believe that we're at the semi-finals already. So today I have Riot with me, and then he will be here with me, helping me casting Revnock and Julian K. And Riot.
Yeah, so I'm going to be casting just the first game. If I must be honest, I haven't actually watched a lot of the tournament so far, but that trailer at the start, I don't know who made it. People were saying Joshua in the chat. It was pretty incredible. It's hyped me up for the games. So Julian versus Revnak or Breeze. I'm going to call him Breeze. Should be quite interesting to watch because obviously I think Breeze has been one of the top players for a very long time. And Jager, you coming from TR obviously know Julian very well, as Julian has been sort of the premier TR player this time. So it should be quite a good series for the semi-finals. And of course, we've got another semi-finals later on. But I think we're getting into the first game now.
Yeah. So we are approaching the first game. It's going to be Italy versus British, and it's going to be on Wallachia. So let's just jump into the game. So
yeah,
we have Revnock on the top side of the map as British and Julian K as Italians on the bottom side. You have any thoughts?
obviously the crates are spawned, so they're fixed spawns now. They used to be random, so we talked about that when we were casting before. But an interesting matchup. I don't really know that much about Italy. If I must be honest, again, I haven't played the game in a while. But Breeze playing as Brit here on a primarily water map. There's water to the right, but you can't really control the centre of the map with water here. So it should be quite interesting. I'd like to see if Breeze will go for water, or if indeed the Italians go for water, because they do have the strong warships in Age 2. So yeah, it should be quite an interesting matchup.
Yeah, so far we have seen on the recent games that Italy can really go on water, starting from age 1 just because of the architect. So you can just go with the market house and then just go for either trade post or dock, or just dock straight away, depending on what the player will decide. And as you said, okay, so basically, by the look of their deck, I can see Breeze is going for water and water booming, and on the other side, Julian is not going for water booming, but he has the anti-water deck.
Yeah, so Breeze having a water deck's not really that surprising. He basically always walls up, or at least he used to. I don't know if he does anymore. Used to wall up and then go water, go for the heavy economic play, and then push out at the end. But now, by the looks of it, with water, Julian's deck is decent enough for water. He's be able to propel it off for water. But I mean, a lot of the cards in Breeze's deck, you've got advanced dock in there, and you've got water cards which improve the damage of warships and sort of other ships as well. It's gonna be difficult actually to play against Breeze on the water because he's so used to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna just see the wall straight away in the middle, and then you just go for the water devil dogs probably on the side, and then try to turtle in, hold the position, and just boom it out with the manor houses and the water at the same time. It's going to be really solid for British, but at the same time, obviously, Julian is not going to stay back, and surely he will have responses. As you can see, he has the Croatian company and also the Broken Lands company on H2, so he can decide to either go for the early H2 pressure, or just go for the fast fortress with Italy and then go for the Falconet, and then following with the Albanian company and the Black Knight company. So what do you think he will do?
Well, again, I don't know how Julian plays it, must be honest, because back when I used to cast a lot, back when I used to be integrated more into the game, Julian was obviously a treaty player, and I think he still is. But his transition to supremacy, I don't know if he's really picked up on the sort of how to play against Bruise's water play. One thing to note about this map as well, in particular, is because there's water crossings, but they're not full crossings. It's quite easy to wall up. Bruise doesn't have to invest a huge amount of resources into sort of walling up that gap as would be compared to a normal map like Great Plains or something where you've got a whole area where people can cross. So it should be quite interesting. Obviously, the natives play a decent role in this as well, because you have the Greek natives, which I believe are water focused with their units.
Yeah.
And really, it's a difficult map to play against Brit, and really difficult to play against a Breeze. Breeze playing Brit because of how he plays, how he's traditionally will wall up. He will get to the stage where he's economically stronger than you, and then he will push out. Saying that, Italy, I think, have a very strong late game as well. So it's one of these things which is quite difficult to judge right early into the game.
Yeah, so far we have seen that we have noticed that how scary Italy post H3 is. So from H3 to H4, Italy is just turning into a war machine, I would say, just because of their heavy shipments that they have. Like they have two super solid mercenary shipments on H3, and then on H4 they have the artilleries, and also he has the Lombard investment, and of course he will enable the Bersagliers, which are the Italian skirmishers on H4, which are the Shadow Tech H4 units, and following with the advanced arsenal, which surely we have seen it so far. He will get cheap arsenal techs, and at the same time, with each tech that he gets from the arsenal, he will be getting a free settler. That's the bonus from the Italian. Like,
yeah, each tech you get up, you get extra settlers. What's interesting is Breeze put his tower forward next to the shoreline, and by the looks of it, I think he went for 5 villages in his first shipment, which isn't typically what you do if you go for a water boom. We don't actually see a dock up from Breeze anywhere, unless I'm missing one. So I don't think Breeze is going to go fully for water here. He's got a villager on the right-hand side just next to that cathedral, which I don't know what he's doing with that villager, but I think this is going to be aggressive from Breeze, honestly.
yeah, it seemed like, not gonna lie, as he said, also since he doesn't have the dock there, I mean, he doesn't have any dock placement. He's going for the 700 wood at the moment. But then, as you can see, there is no dock, no walls, and he's just pushing forward with the manor houses with British. Seem like he's trying to get the map control, and maybe after that go for the water booming, or I don't know, maybe he will just go straight away for the aggressive playstyle, and he's just having the deck with the water just to fool Julian K and just trick him. But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting here as well is Breeze has so many villagers over the other side. I mean, yeah, he went for 3 villagers and 5 villagers, which is okay, then 700 wood. But where that explorer is now staring at villager, Breeze is probably going to lose it, because if we go back to Julian's point of view, we're going to assume some military units are going to come out relatively soon. Actually, saying that, I don't think they will. The barracks have only just gone up, and I mean, that's the problem with architects, isn't it? They're so slow to put buildings up.
Yeah.
So if that barracks was up earlier, Breeze probably would have lost a couple of villagers because they're so close to Julian's base. Meanwhile, Breeze has now got out his first batch of 5 musketeers, and I mean, I think Julian's been a bit too slow here. It looks like Breeze is going to have a massive mass before Julian's got anything.
Yeah, it seems like Julian is going for the fast fortress. He already sent the advanced politician card from Italy, so his age up gonna be really fast. So I suppose right after that he's just gonna ship the falconets and then try to make some plays. But if you take a look at the line of sight and the map control that Breeze has, it's really interesting. He almost already knows where is everything inside the map, which is really good.
So,
and thanks Ace for the raid, appreciate it. Go on, right?
So this is me being a bit having lack of knowledge and of the new Sims and stuff. What does the bishop age up do for Italy? Because if they've got a fast age up from a card, Does it give them units, or does it give them crates or something?
The
Gives them a
fish,
TC wagon, does it?
yeah, it gives a TC wagon and also 400 XP crates, if I'm not mistaken, just with the advanced quality.
Okay, so I mean, if Julian can get another batch of musketeers out with Minutemen and some Falcons, but he's not sending Falcons, he's sending the Lombard card first. If he can hold this, he'll be in a really good spot. He's only just got his second barracks up and 5 musketeers just coming out now. But Breeze is going to be doing some damage with all those musketeers in this area. That Architect's going to go down in just a second. Just gets away, just a tiny smidge of health left. But saying that, I think Julian's held this, surely.
Yeah, it seemed to be fine for the time being, and considering that he already has 3 Lombards with 4 Lombards, sorry, actually. I think his economy will be really good with that Lombard investment card, but I wonder at the same time what is his next shipment gonna be. Is he gonna send the Falconet, or is he gonna go for the either mercenary shipments? Because at the moment I would say the mercenary shipments are not really good against musketeers. Yeah, he's going for the Falconets.
He's sending the Falconets in, and he will have a little bit of time where Breeze hasn't got up to the next stage and won't have Falconets himself. But saying that, those walls that Breeze is now putting down, with a villager just across that small strait, will protect his barracks. And really, if Breeze can get up to the next stage, villager-wise, he's looking like he's in a better position than Julian. Military-wise, he's looking like he's in a better position. And ultimately, Julian's stacking 2 shipments here, but he's just sending eco shipments. He's allowing Breeze the time to get up to the next stage and sort of get in the time that he needs to basically mass an army and push in, because what's Julian going to do with his 2 Falconets when they come? He's just giving Breeze too much time.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree with that, and I guess maybe Julian's intention is to just go for industrial ASAP, and then after that, basically, he will be having the access to the Berserkers and then just mass the skirmishers. I mean, they will do amazing against this musketeer mass. So maybe that's his plan for the time being. And at the same time, seems like Breeze is already on the water. He already placed the dock and training fishing boats.
Yeah, he's just started his dock out there. I think that's the first couple of fishing boats out, which will boost his economy, obviously. But what are the shipments at Age 4? Are they of paper bombards and stuff, which are just very strong, heavy cannons, aren't they?
The Papal Bombard is just an artillery unit that it's really tanky, and also at the same time it tanks for nearby artillery units, so it has a deflection ability. And then aside from that, the Savoyard Company, he will get 6 Royal Horsemen, which is a native, which are the native. Sorry, they are
The quiz,
heavy
aren't they?
cavalry. Yeah, I think there's something like gendarmes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then
Which,
also, yeah, and also 9 armored pistolier, which is really good. But then that card is really heavy. I mean, look at that. 1,000 of each resource is really massive.
They've been nerfed, haven't they, the armored pistoliers?
Yeah, they have been.
They were much stronger.
Yeah, they were much. But then still, they'll do good.
And the papal units say auto attack, don't they? So
yeah,
Julian getting in some papal units now. He has 2 shipments in queue when they come, and actually, I mean, this is just my knowledge of Italy being quite poor. Really, I mean, Breeze is the one who's on the timer now. He's got the Caravel out, which yes, it's destroying that wall, but that's not hugely beneficial. And yes, he's ahead economy-wise, but 2 papal bombards. What's Breeze got? He's just got like a mass of musketeers. There's no Carverins in there. He went for 8 Vils as his first shipment in Age 3, which again is economically focused. But if you can't kill the other person's army, then he's now going into Age 4 himself. But now Julian has the advantage of time, where Breeze has to get to Age 4, has to get some heavy cannons out, has to get some Colts out. And as we know, Julian is an ex-treaty player, or still a treaty player, probably the best treaty player. So, I mean, I don't know how you'd argue.
Yeah, he is.
I'd say Julian's the best treaty player, and his Cove marker is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so, exactly. I mean, as he also said, I don't know why Breeze is taking this game too long. I guess he should have applied the pressure already. and Julian already got his factory, and the next shipment is gonna be the papal bombards, and at the same time he has a really nice mass of papal guards and also papal lancers.
Yeah, so these lancers they're effectively the same as Spanish ones, aren't they?
Uh,
Or they're
not
slightly worse, I think.
yeah, slightly. They're more tanky. They have deflection ability. Their multiplier versus infantry is lower, but again, they're really tanky, and they also tank for nearby units.
Okay.
So they will do the tank job, and I guess the Berserkers and the Papal Bombards will be cleaning up those musketeers easily.
Yes, I
So,
mean
like,
this army is really difficult to deal with now.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
And at the same time, I mean, Julian's now sending in I think it's 3k resources, which goes into your Lombards, which is a massive boon to the economy. So, thinking about it, Bruce is just on the clock here. He has to get a massive culverins out. He has to get his units upgraded, which of course for Brit, when you get to age 4, the musketeer upgrading 1,000 wood, which is difficult to mass up early into age 4. And now his 2 barracks are going down. Yes, he's got walls up, but he hasn't got bastion in, so they're basically paper to his army now. So it's if Julian can sort of capitalize on his advantage he has now, Breeze has still got his age 2 units. He is upgrading his culverins to culverin royales, and I believe he's getting in heavy horse guns as well. But it's just going to be a difficult push to stop for Breeze.
Yeah. At the same time, it looked like Julian is using those Papal Lancers to raid. So the 3 Papal Lancers are already inside Breeze economy, and I'm pretty sure they should be able to pick up some settlers. Yeah, he's already on it, and at the same time, he's trying to apply pressure. One covering going down without any issue.
Breeze quite lucky here though, because those 4 culverins just came out of artillery.
Yeah, exactly.
Came up. But he's just building another one in the middle of the area, but I think that's going to go down as well. So, I mean, Julian just looking like he's... and the wall actually to the left not really doing much because Julian's just walking across the middle. But yeah, this is a difficult push for Bruce to really deal with. He hasn't got any sort of army to deal with this. He hasn't got his guard upgrades on his musketeers because of the cost. And I think he's just getting it now, actually. But it's... I mean, how do you deal with someone who's incredibly good at artillery management, who has an army of artillery and musketeers, basically?
As we speak, Julian already has 8 covering, so there is no way that Breeze can deal with those covering whatsoever. But yet they are not. Actually, they are upgraded. So at the same time, the Papal Bombard is tanking for the unit, but it seems like the Berserkers are doing some really good work, and seems like Breeze is feeling really hopeless.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the difference in military units there, 55 to Breeze, 121, I think that is to Revnak. I mean, it's just... What do you do here, Breeze? You're getting pushed all front, you're running out of resources. Yes, you've got some more to play there, but it's not doing a huge amount. And now you're pushing out to get more musketeers, but then Julian's got the better economy now, even.
Yeah, and if you take a look at Julian's military pop, he's already on 200 pop completely. So he's full pop already, and he's... I mean, you can see the mass. It's just really looking scary for Breeze at the moment.
And then there's Breeze resigning. So the first game's going to Julian.
Yeah.
And really, I think
GG's.
the story of that game really is that both players sort of played quite greedily. Breeze played very greedily. Breeze had the sort of timing. He could have pushed in. He could have, if he put the Falcons out straight away into age 3, he would have had a timing, but he just didn't capitalize on it. And obviously, as Julian gets to age 4, he's got the better units. He's got the faster momentum in age 4, and he just pushes out. So
Yeah.
the first game goes to Julian, and actually on a match which I think most would expect Breeze to do quite well because it's a water map.
Take a look at the military unit population, military unit count. It's just like the whole match, Breeze was just having the advantage, but I guess he didn't really use it well. He was just... maybe he
Well, that's the
didn't
thing.
know.
Well, there's the point where we can see the whole map and it's a bit different. We basically have omnipresence, don't we, in looking at the map as we do. But really, I mean, Breeze just didn't capitalize, which is the end of the story of the match as a whole. And I mean, I think that's a problem that Breeze has in general. Really, he walls up, he gets the economy going, and someone like Julian, who is so used to a late game, he's so used to booming himself. He's got the build orders down, and he's someone who can basically capitalize on Breeze's weakness.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Julian is not the player you want to play late game against. He knows how to play late game better than any other, so it's gonna be easy for him. And also, the cheese, thanks for the prime, appreciate it.
Yeah, just a reminder, guys, that we are going for £10,000, $10,000 even, sorry, not pounds. Prize pool currently at 956. Any donations to the stream will go directly to the prize pool. Try and get to that sort of 5-figure total for the biggest tournament since way back in World Cyber Games in 2008, I think it was.
Yeah, it was 2008.
Yeah. I think the 2007 one had a bigger prize, but I can't actually remember. But by the looks of it, next game, it's going to be Germany versus France, so a pretty classic matchup, which hasn't really changed that much from back in the days in EP.
Yeah, this is one of those classic matchups. I think there was some other people I saw inside the chat yesterday that they were appreciating seeing like classic matchups like Germany French, Germany British, French British. Like all these matchups are really classic and just brings the vibe from all the good old days, which is really nice to watch.
Yeah, so I mean, just looking at the matchup now, it used to be pretty fair, like pretty equal. I think if you go back again, these sets haven't really changed since the the latest version of EP. And back then, it was pretty much that I think France had a slight advantage. To people like Kaiser, who'd always say that Germany were better. But yeah, France had a slight advantage, and obviously it ends up being sort of CAV semis on either side, unless you know how Julian plays French. Actually, he could go for an FI, he could go for something. But again, I mean, it should be quite interesting. I forgot what the map is. I'll quickly just check.
The
Um, Finland.
map is Hungarian plain, and
Oh, sorry.
I think I already know what's coming from Julian. I
So
mean,
what do you think Julian's going to do? Give
I
us a
mean,
prediction.
well, we have seen this from Mini as well. He did it yesterday against Julian. So he went for the native rush on H2. So this map has the Yagelian and also the forgot the other native. It's can't recall. I think it's Halls of Wittelsbach, if I'm not mistaken. And then so basically build the trade post, send the native lore, and then just get the free native shipments from that. So you will have a really massive native in H2. And considering the French has H2 native combat, Northwest. Wait, sorry,
Oh yeah, yeah. The French have actually the
natives in the game. Yeah,
best natives in the game. It
yeah,
used to be I was going to say Iroquois, but that's not their name anymore. It's Haudenosaunee, whatever
yeah. I
however
was
you
on the
say
show.
it. It used to be them, but they changed it.
Yeah,
But
they changed it. Yeah, now I guess French is just the most dominant native civ in the game in terms of the
definitely.
unit stats. Yeah,
And actually, I think if you go back again a couple of years, Migo used to so India bot 1999 or Migo 1999, whatever you want to call them. He used to do a lot of native stuff with France, and you can incorporate the CDBs very well with it, because obviously most of the things basically buff the CDBs as well, and you can use them to tank and you can sway games.
yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see Julian doing that if he goes to a native player. Of course, he might just play a standard game and go into sort of cavalry in H2 like you normally would do.
Yeah, seem like we got the game rolling, and we should be starting in a second.
Yeah. So in the bottom map in blue, we've got Breeze or Ravnak, Germany. Obviously, Germany start with 100 wood, 100 coin, and 300 food. So you go for a market start pretty much universally. Try and find some nice treasures at the start to sort of delay the requirement to go for wood, which actually Breeze has got. He's already on 50 wood, which is a nice start for him. But in the top of the map, you've got Julian. I believe France always start with 200 wood, so you go for a TP, which he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a typical French start, I guess. And I wonder, I really want to see him going for the native rush on H2, and then just apply all the pressure. And also, sorry, earlier I said House of Wittelsbach. It was House of Habsburg. Said it by mistake. So
So,
House of Habsburg and House of Jagiellon.
so what do those natives actually have in them?
So House of Jagiellon has a really nice cav archer, and also has a shock rider. So the shock rider has a charge attack, and also so basically the charge attack has a splash, and at the same time the unit has the a promotional ability. So for each unit it kills, it gets better stats. And the House of Habsburg, there is the mounted mounted infantry, which is a range cav that counters infantry, and also the line infantry, which is basically a musketeer unit. So all these
So
units are really solid.
a strong natives, which again is why Julian would go for a sort of a nat push. I know the Hasburg one does have it has a tech where you get a lot of mercs. I don't know if we'll be seeing that, but I mean Breeze could go for mercs, who knows? But by the looks of it, his deck he won't be.
Yeah.
Multinationalism there, which actually can be quite good. 1,500 coins seems like a lot of resources, but you can get some of the Age 4 ones, which can really sway a game. You can get like 8 of the Age 4 ones, which are kind of obscene. But I definitely see that. But overall, it looks like Breeze and Julian have a pretty good age 1 here. I mean, Breeze got some nice treasures early on. And by the looks of it, he's going to get an XP treasure there, which I believe is 140 XP or something. That coin treasure. She's getting
Yeah.
right at the moment. I'm not 100% sure, but I mean a pretty standard deck from Breeze there. There's
Yeah,
apart
it's
from the Prussian it's an Age 4.
also it seems like Julian is going for the standard French, not the native Rush French. So it's pretty standard. He has the Jaegers on H3, Falconet, Goons, Gendarme, and Devil Skirm Shipment. I would say that's pretty standard, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much a standard deck. I mean, Jaegers is you didn't used to get Jaegers in a French deck. Normally, people would go for other cards instead, but I mean, I think it's become basically the standard now instead. So really, I mean, this should be part of standard game by the looks of it. Sort of Cav semi, both players going for five Hus straight away for France, and probably 5 Ulans with the 2 from the shipment as well for Germany. Although, of course, you could see France go for Musketeers. It's or Germany go for Dogs. It's quite a varied matchup, and really, it's the closest matchup to a mirror that you can get, which isn't a mirror in my opinion, but. I mean, it's still a pretty interesting matchup. But you can see Julian now going for the standard, go for a market, going to go for hunting dogs, placer mines or placer mines, it's actually pronounced, and the what's the other one called the better food one, steel traps.
Yeah, the steel traps. Yeah.
But
It's
yeah, pretty standard for both players.
yeah, exactly. It's pretty standard, and I'm really wondering if they're going for the. I mean, either side is going to rush on H2 or not, but or they're just gonna go straight away for the fortress and then just let the falconets, scares, and then the gendarmes from French do the work, or even some war wagons from Germany. But I guess it just depends on the first shipment that they're gonna send on H2.
I mean, we don't see any forward villagers. We see Julian stopping at 128 wood, which is slightly over what you'd want, but it's fine. And I don't think Breeze is sending anything forward. So realistically, we're going to see a pretty standard game. Breeze only just going for his TP though, which is interesting because I think he's now going for a native post maybe, because he hasn't got a TP up. Is he clicking up for a native post,
Um.
or is he just not going for a TP? I don't know what he's doing here.
Yeah.
So he has spent his wood on something. So he's going for a in-base barracks, but no TP, which is for Germany is interesting because you've got to get very slow XP. What do you think about that?
I mean, these. Are you talking about the European trade post or?
I'm talking normal trading posts, the ones
Oh,
that
the normal trading
the one
post.
he's
Yeah,
building now, which is
yeah, yeah. I guess. I mean, he could have. I mean, at the same time, he's. It looked like he's training Pike, so I guess he's trying to delay Julian's shipment on H3. So maybe that's his plan. Try to get additional shipment by H3 while Julian is just behind. So maybe that's his intention behind that. But at the same time, Julian is going for the musketeer himself, and we
Breeze
seem
going for
to
a
have a
Pike.
pause. Yeah.
So it's actually a Julian pause, which I I mean I'm pretty sure that's pretty standard in games. I mean I know Breeze sometimes pauses quite often, but yeah, Pike's to start with versus France is interesting. He does find the Nat scout, which is quite good from Julian. But again, that TP being so late is I don't know if it's worth getting a barracks up that much earlier just to get the TP down later because he's now going to be slightly behind on the XP curve, which isn't.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. And well, it seemed like he's not gonna go for H3. He's sending the 700 wood shipment, and he's training Expos. So I guess this is some sort of H2 plays.
But he's H2 play, but he's in base.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I don't get it. Like,
this
what's
isn't really the play you'd want to go for as Bruiser, I don't think, because Julian's now in base. He's got a couple of musketeers out, which are going to be basically taking out the Ulans. But he's going to be way too slow to really deal with this. I mean, Julian's got 10 musketeers now. Those pikes on the right hand side aren't going to get that TP down. And Julian, by the looks of it, is poisoning himself to age up, even going for amalgamation. So he's going even greedier than you typically would as well.
wow? That's greedy indeed. Or
So
I don't know.
like,
What's their plan?
so what Bruce could have done here is he could have gone for sort of a he could have gone for a outpost. So he could have put his outpost close to Julian's base, put a barracks next to it, just like Kaiser used to do years ago, and sort of go eight crossbow first card, go for a batch of pikes and then go in, which would have worked quite well. But now we see Julian's being able to stabilize himself, hasn't really been pressured. There's a couple of pikes were scared off by the musketeers, and now he's able to mix in Huss. He's got amalgamation in. He sent in 700 coin. He's poised to age if he really wants to. And what does Breeze have? He has a couple of Ulans which aren't going to be doing a huge amount of damage, and they're going to, even now one gets taken down by the musketeers. The crossbows he had have only just got to the front line. And it's just not worth it. I mean, Breeze now going for his second TP, but do you really get the bonus from that second TP before basically Julian's going to go into H3 and dominate you?
And the interesting part is he still doesn't have place in mind. Meanwhile, he has like 7 settlers on coin already, and he's sending the 700 coin shipment. So I assume as soon as he get that, he's going really hard on age up.
So yeah, Breeze is going to age up here. So overall, Breeze, I mean, he gets out of it. He gets a couple of crossbows, which aren't going to be very useful. He's now even making more pikes, which just, I guess he's keeping that in queue just in case. But overall, I mean, Julian's going to be able to use those musketeers. He's going to be able to use those Huss. Yes, Bruce has the 2 TPs on the left-hand side, but he's slower to age up. He's going to be slower than Julian is, and Julian's going to have Falcons out. He's going to have better shipments right at the start of the game. I mean, Germany does have better shipments overall in Fortress, but 2 Falcons is better than any of Germany's shipments. So I think it'd be quite hard to find somebody who would disagree with that. But yeah, I mean, he might get a raid in here, but I don't really know what Breeze is doing here, going for that weird push in base.
Seems like Breezy is ahead in the age up, so he's gonna have a fast age up to H3, and then Julian is at the same time aging up, but I guess he's
Julian's already up. He's going for 8 skirms. His first shipment. 8 skirms, a couple of goons in queue, a couple of skirms in queue. Again, he has amalgamation on his villages. He's got 12 villagers on a coin mine.
Yeah.
It's 20% faster. So in reality, I mean, he's got more economy than it sort of stated on that bar graph. And I believe that bar graph doesn't actually account for the CDBs. So you'd have to get the calculator out, times that by 1.25, I believe, or whatever it is, and work that out. But his economy is better than Bruise's. Bruise doesn't even have stagecoach on that left-hand side, I don't think.
Yeah, he doesn't have it yet.
So, I mean, it doesn't seem like a very good position for Bruce to be in. Julian's got the bigger mass. He's got the units which are more useful in Age 3. Compared to Bruce, which has got a crossbow and a pikes, which, okay, you can still use them as units, but they're not as good as musketeers or not good as hussars.
Yeah, and like Breeze is trying on war again. Got one in queue, and I don't think he will be. I think it will be just making it 2, and then the rest is just skirmisher and semi-ulans. While on the other side, we have a really nice army composition.
So actually, this is quite a scary composition from Breeze coming in here against Julian's army, just because I think Julian's got some units which are back in his base. So he's got more skirmishers, so he needs to pull back. But again, I mean, those couple of ulans now are going to get caught by those masks, no, those skirms. So actually, this is quite a big raid from Breeze.
Yeah, that was a really nice move by him, and we had some crossbow skirmisher trades, but then that was just nothing.
Yeah, and then a couple of war wagons coming in now. Breeze will probably, if he gets a house up, yeah, he's probably going to get 4 here and 3 from the shipment. So he'll have sort of 10 war wagons. But again, I mean, the war wagons, how useful are they? Julian's not making any huss, and obviously war wagons lose resource-wise to goons.
Yeah, well, I mean, by the look of that army comp that Julian has, is mainly skirmisher, goon, and musketeer. He didn't even make any gendarme yet. He only has the 2 hussar, which he trained on Age 2. So yeah, I guess those war wagons not gonna really pay off as they should be, but I guess it just depends on how well he managed to micro the units. Like one settler is going down. Oh, yeah.
Gets out of a second one, actually.
Yeah, that was a miss micro by Julian, I guess, on the settler.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce's army is looking stronger and stronger. These Falconets are going to come in for Julian, which are going to play an important role if he can micro them correctly to take down some of the skirmisher mass of Bruce. But at the same time, again, war wagons against Falconets are pretty good. So that's one area he can use them. And Julian's kind of starved for coin mines. He's getting pushed off him all the time. And I mean, he invested in that amalgamation. A lot of those musketeers to the left-hand side haven't been upgraded, and they're not really serving a huge amount of purpose right now because there's not a huge amount of cav from Breeze.
Yeah, that was a nice raid from Breeze as well. Those 2 Ulan, I think they already got like 2 CDBs. This will be the 3rd one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, and even with if you were to calculate the economy for Julian when you account for the CDBs, Breeze is way ahead now. So he's ahead economically, about equal in terms of military unit population. Yes, the Falconets, I'd argue, are worth more than their 4 population costs. But again, I mean, it's looking very good for Breeze now. We're all going down for Julian, but I mean, it's a nice quick wall at the start, which is going to stop some of the Ulans coming forward. But it's giving Breeze more time with his better economy. Now Cav Combat's coming in, and it's only a matter of time until Breeze's army is basically unbeaten.
Oh god. That Cav combat on those Ulan and Warwagon mass is going to be really good for him, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Cav Combat, especially on war wagons, affects them very, very well because they go off veteran stats. And Breeze just sort of posturing around, trying to find some villagers over on the right-hand side, and basically ignoring the wall being put down. Gets another villager out, and Julian's basically been stagnant on sort of 25 to 27 villagers all this time.
it's interesting that Breeze is just ignoring the left side completely, but I feel he should be doing something about it because Julian. I mean, this kind of looks like a base trade, to be honest. A semi-base trade.
There is that, but I mean, none of Breeze's army or anything that is over there stuff from his trading post, which later stage in the game are not really that useful. And I think Breeze knows he's considerably ahead on the economy side of things. So yes, there's the fact that all the stuff is going down the left-hand side for Breeze, but if he buys time, he's in a better position.
Yeah, exactly. And look like
And now
Breeze is causing some chaos there inside his base. Oh my
it's
god, all those
massive
scares.
raid.
Wow,
Massive raid.
that was a really nice
And
pickup.
there's a shipment of 7 skirms which are going to go down as well. So this is huge. I mean, that's a decent chunk of Julian's army just going down for free, whereas Ulan's picking them off. And again, he has the more mobile army. Whereas Falconets are slow to pack up and move around. So Breeze buying himself more and more time. 9 Ulans now in. So those Ulans with Cav combat have pretty beastly stats. And there's so many war wagons there as well. Look, I mean, that's got to be about sort of 12 war wagons, surely. Or slightly more than that. I think there's 14 now.
Right.
Yeah, 14 war wagons, which all have
Yeah,
Cav combat, 48 range
wow.
attack, and 575 HP. It's going to be difficult. And even those Falcons, they go down in just a couple of shots from war wagons now.
Yeah, I think you can just easily just right-click the war wagons into the Falcons, and as you said, yeah, it's gonna be really easy to pick off.
Might be a bit of a raid on the right here, but I mean, Breeze moves his units thankfully. That TP spotting them, and again, he's just buying time for himself. He knows that if he's able to get into a fight, saying that the fight's now starting, those war wagons are going to pick up those facts very easily in a second. There you go, one's down already.
That was I mean, at least he managed to get 2 volleys on the skirm mass that he had, but then at the same time he lost all the falconets, and now those Ulans are putting up some work and they're just slaughtering the skirmishers, and I don't think the goons are nearly enough to deal with those Ulan mass.
Yeah,
Even
Breeze
though, yeah,
takes hands off his keyboard and his computer now, and he still wins. So.
yeah, he still wins at this point. Yeah.
It's got to that point where, especially even the eco side of it, look at Julian's eco, it's sort of
Oh god.
for reasons.
Those settlers, yeah, the settlers were also just next to the fight, so I guess
Yeah.
that's a GG.
Well, yeah, that's the GG. And again, I mean, you talked about the native strat at the start, and I think you even had people like Keister in the chat talking about French should basically only ever go natives on this map because of how strong it is. And I think Julian neglected it.
Yeah, I guess I don't know why he didn't. Like against Minimalt, also he played the French mirror and he played normal French while Mini played the native rush. But I guess Mini just did some miss micro and then he lost that game. But then I guess yeah, I mean I really feel he should have went for the native rush.
Yeah, which I mean, again, I think it would have been stronger. I think he gave again Breeze. It's a matter of how much time each player's giving, because Breeze basically got given way too much time at the end there. Because Julian basically rested on his laurels. He lost so many villagers that yes, he pushed onto the left side of the map, but there wasn't much on the left side of the map. Breeze was able to use that time to get Cav combat in, to get a massive amount of war wagons. And then at the end of the day, war wagons aren't the best units, but if you've got Cav combat on them and you just let them fire on anything, they do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And you can see that at the end of the fight there, which just ended up with Julian losing. But I mean, it's 1-1 now. It's all squared up after the first 2 games. So we'll have to see what the next sort of civs they pick are, which is on Pripyat Marshes, which I've never actually seen before.
Yeah, this map is really, I would say, awkward to fight because there are those marshes in the middle, so there's not much space to build in the middle, so you can't really wall properly or set up buildings properly. 1 or 2 buildings, I guess, can just fit in the middle, and then the rest is just it's gonna be unit micro a lot during this game.
And you've got the TPs at the back, don't you? Just
Yeah,
facing your,
yeah, that's
your
gonna be a
fence.
free stagecoach basically.
which just gonna wait and see what the civs are here, and hopefully we should be able to sort of give some insight into what's going to end up happening. I mean, I believe one of these players has to play either Malta or Italy here.
Yeah, they have to play.
So Breeze is playing Malta here, and Julian's playing Brit.
Yeah, Julian played Italy earlier, so for his fourth game, he's forced to play Malta, and then Breeze on his fourth game, he's forced to play Italy. So it's gonna be an interesting matchup for the fourth one, I believe. So before we jump into the next game, once again, big shout out to Tech Cafe and also Marcus for sponsoring this, and also all you amazing people who are inside the chat and following up us. And we are almost reaching toward the 10k prize pool, and it's hopefully we can get it with the donation and the subscriptions. If not, once again, appreciate all the support from each and every one of you.
Yeah, so just to clarify, basically all the donations go to ESOC, or the subscriptions that go to ESOC will go towards that prize
The
pool. And
prize
hopefully
pool.
get to 10,000. Yeah, five figures hopefully, which would be quite nice. I mean, again, the largest prize pool since I think 2007, so it's huge for the sort of Age of Empires 3 community.
Any thoughts on this matchup?
I don't really know how this works, actually, if I must be honest. I played a little bit of Malta in my time, but Malta and Brit seem like they're quite similar civs. I know Malta works very well when you can get the sort of crossbow upgrades in, you can get all these strong upgrades in, and then they effectively have some of the best late game units in the game, which for Breeze, I mean, makes sense. Breeze is, again, a late game player, but again, you've got Julian who's playing Brit here. Julian, I think, has played Brit probably more times than he's can probably count. Just because through treaty and whatever, you play it relatively similar with Brit compared to Supremacy, because obviously you go for a Nico Boom and what have you. But looking at Bruise's deck, he does actually have a specific deck for Brit, and I think probably you're best to talk us through that, because I'm not too knowledgeable about the Maltese cards.
So, I mean, the age one settler, the settler is gonna be pretty standard, and then he has the German tongue, which he will get the settler wagons and also a commandery post wagon, and then I believe he will go for the as soon as he's on the transition to age two, he will just switch everything to wood just to get the German tongue out ASAP, and then following by that he will be getting the wing cord construction, which boosts the nearby settlers gather rate from natural resources, which is really huge for Malta. I mean, basically, if you give Malta time and space to set up around the map with the TCs and commandery posts, they will just boom massively, and there's literally nothing you can stop. And as you also said, the crossbow and pike of Maltese are really scary.
Yeah, which I think is the strongest part. I mean, Brit struggles with civs which have decent cost-effective units, basically. Obviously, as Brits, you've got longbows, which are very strong and have been buffed recently, actually, with some of the cards, I believe, which Julian doesn't have in his deck. He's got a pretty standard Brit deck. Does have advanced arsenal in there, as well as exotic hardwoods, which are two cards you don't typically see. And interesting, I think Julian actually has... Is that 3 rockets, or is that 3 horse artillery?
3 horse arc.
Yeah.
We treaty players are against rockets.
Yeah, so typically you'd have 3 rockets in there, because I think they actually are stronger in Supremacy. But I think they're quite... So what's bad about rockets then compared to horse artillery?
Well, horse art is more mobile, and also you can just it has a really nice damage output against infantry. It has less pop compared to rocket, while rocket is slower. The damage against infantry is less compared to the horse art, and did I mention it's more mobile? But
So,
yeah,
rockets are weird, aren't they? Because they don't have any... They just have a straight damage. They don't have any
yeah,
negative. So
yeah,
they
exactly.
pull damage for cav and stuff, which doesn't... Very useful, effectively.
Yeah.
But interesting to see how sort of the treaty knowledge sort of plays out into Julian's decks there, but pretty standard in general. from a bit that well, he is going forward by the looks of it here, Julian. You're
Yeah,
going for a mid-map barracks.
yeah. I think he's going for H2 pressure with the longbow and uh, Moss Crowley. I mean, he has the exotic hardwood, so I believe that's 100% for the longbow mass. And
You
then
typically wouldn't send exotic hardwoods though, because wood's very slow to collect, obviously. So you typically go for wood crates instead. But he is going for five vills as his first card and a longbow in queue with that tower coming forward. Breeze also putting a tower. Is that forward or is that just in base? I think he's putting it. That's not a tower. It's a post,
it's
isn't it?
the commandery post. Yeah, I mean it's more or less
It's a
like
big
an
tower, isn't
outpost. Yeah, it's just a big tower. Yeah, with
it?
more HP.
But I mean, if Breeze is going to have some pressure put onto him, staying near buildings for Malta is very strong, isn't it? Your units get buffs.
Yeah, that's for the sentinel and the hospitalers only, not for the crossbow and the pikes.
The customers don't get it. Okay,
Yeah.
did not realize that. But yeah, I mean, by the looks of it as well, Malta's has sort of taken advantage of that trading post at the back. Going to be getting 2 trading posts up, which again, it's a slower gathering resource because you need to get stagecoach in, which he is getting. But once he gets stagecoach in, I believe that's roughly equal to about 9 villagers, or actually no, that's back in EP. It's about 8 or 7 villagers or something like that, which is a strong boost to the Maltese economy and roughly puts it on par with the early British economy. Which, I mean, Julian's got a pressure here because the 2 trading posts at the back are quite difficult to deal with, really, as Brit.
I mean, he has 5 longbows on it, so I guess he's just going to siege it down. On also, the pikes are going as well, so I guess he's trying to deny Breeze from having a really safe trade route. I believe Breeze just got the stagecoach. Yeah, he got it as well, and
But
I
yeah,
guess Julian is going to siege it down ASAP.
yeah, so he's going to go for a siege, Julian with his longbows and probably with his pikemen, because obviously with the retreat, the commandery and the TC, you don't really want to stay by the sort of in that area of longbows. They die in 2 shots. But it's crossbows coming out now for Malta, and Bruce is going to get a snare on his longbowman. But I believe, at least, especially early game, longbows dominate crossbows.
Yeah, I guess yeah, they do actually, especially with the extra range that they have. But then again, that depends on how many shipment Malta stack, because with each shipment they stack, the crossbows will be getting 2% HP buff.
Yeah, you can see now Bruce has got 8 crossbows at the back, and now he's going to start dominating. It's Lancaster's square law, where basically the more units you have, the better outcome you have, and more efficient they are. Which is where sort of those 5 pikes, which Julian has, they're good for siege. They have taken out TP, which is good, but Bruce nearly has enough wood now to effectively build one up again. Now he's adding in some pass as well, and it's looking quite good for Breeze. Now 6 longbow coming in for Julian, which isn't the most efficient card, because early game you don't really want to be sending in military shipments.
Yeah, I'm also like really wondering about that shipment decision from Julian. Like, I don't know, maybe he was thinking like I'm just gonna get the mass and just have the overmass and then just dominate with the numbers. But then again, as you said, I feel the resource crates would have been better, and then just save the shipment for something else.
Yeah, you could have gone for some wood, could have got that mana pop. It's looking like a GUA game with only 80, only 7 manas on the field. But saying that, I mean, it's now coming into Bruise's base. And Julian actually has a significantly more larger pop of units. And saying that, Minutemen can come out, and I think there's some Huss and Q, which will aid Bruise here. But
Yeah, those hots
I
will
mean,
be good if they will manage to, but Pikesmen are just there.
the Huss, I think, are stronger, aren't they? Basically consular Huss, so.
Yeah, they're the consular hots, yeah.
But is this a fight you really want to take for Breeze? He's got the economy in his base. He can pump out units anyway. He's got that stagecoach down. Saying that, Julian's micro with all his pikes are mostly down now. And if Breeze had another batch of Huss out, I don't know if he does in queue, he'd be able to clean up here. But
No,
Saying
he
that,
doesn't have any Hussar in the queue yet.
so
Like, Julian managed to clean it up, and
there's the result.
wow,
So a really bad fight for
that
Breeze at the
worked.
end. Yeah.
Yeah, that worked.
But I think it was a bit of a mistake for Bruce to take that fight. He should have tried to get another batch of something
Uh,
out before he went in.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he
Because he
probably
still had
needed
resources to go.
additional crossbows, I would say.
Yeah, more crossbows. Or effectively, he's facing an army with lots of longbows, and keeping those longbows still and basically allowing them to fire off is quite disastrous because they do so much DPS if you let them fire, basically. Which is why you want to go back and forth against it.
Yeah, exactly. And well, considering the longbows have 1.5 fire rate compared to crossbow, which is 3. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you don't want to stand fight against longbows.
It's in effect double the damage. I mean, longbows do cost a little bit more there, 100 resources instead of 80 resources.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's just a good fight for Julian and actually showing that going for that somewhat unorthodox play against Malta, which I think you typically go just Boomy as Brits, wouldn't you? Versus Malta. Because Brits, when you get to age 3 and when you can get sort of a pressure on age 3, your economy is much stronger with all the manor houses.
Yeah,
It works as well, but
yeah, I believe the H3, like Fast Fortress and then Falconet into Malta is something they kind of struggle to deal with, just because they can't do the same considering you want to do the German tongue. But yeah,
yeah, it takes Julian up to 2 games to 1 against Breeze, and actually Breeze has to pick Italy here. There were some
yeah,
whisperings in chat saying Breeze's Italy is quite good.
and also Julian is forced to take Malta now.
So Malta versus I don't know how that matchup works. I must be honest. I'm assuming Italy does quite well though if you can get to age 4 quite easily.
If you can hold it, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can hold it, yeah. But then again, Malta can just go for the H2 Pike Expos, and then after that there is a card trip to Jerusalem, and then if you lose too many pikes and bows, that card stacks up to 750 wood, 750 coins. So that's a really massive shipment.
Very strong card in age 2.
Yeah.
But it is going to be on Saxony, which has some interesting natives. I believe there's the British Hussars on there, like the House of Hanover or something. And there's the Pikeman one, where they have these kind of papal version of Pikeman or something.
Yeah, the House of Wettin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, which allows you actually to age up cheaper. One of them does. I think.
Yeah.
It has a royal marriages like for 200 food, which
Yeah.
I don't know if people go for that, but I think
I
that'd be
think
quite
it's
interesting.
10% cheaper age up, if I'm not mistaken, but it's really good, I believe.
Yeah, it costs 200 food, so it's a cheap tech to get, but it delays your age too. So that's something to think about, especially if you're going to go for age 4 as Bruce here. But I would actually Bruce went for Spain.
Spain, yeah. Oh, actually, considering I mean, if it was like 3-0 on Julian, Breeze was forced to play Italy, but since it's 1-2, he still can pick it on the. So I guess it's fine.
That's my my lack of knowledge of the rules of the tournament. But I mean, Spain versus Malta. If you're talking about FF civs doing well versus Malta, Spain is pretty much
Yes,
the FF
Spain.
civ.
Yeah, exactly. I believe it's gonna be really scary for Malta to deal with it, and like especially like it's not just the Falconet; it's gonna be Lancers on top of that as well, and it's gonna be really nightmare for Malta to deal with that.
It's Lancers and also dogs. Dogs are very strong for Spain. I think they got nerfed, but sort of the small amount you could spend on dogs, and they do against pikes and stuff. So if let's say Julian goes for pike bow or something, dogs just dominate because there's no multiplier against them. But anyway, point being, I think it's a strong matchup for Spain.
Yeah, indeed.
And actually,
We
even
are in.
Robot in chat saying it's a strong matchup.
Yeah. Oh, Robrod, Spain got himself.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So we are into the match, and I'm just wondering to see the deck from Breeze, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be H3, Lancer, Falconet, Rods, and then maybe the Marvelous Year card. But we'll see.
Oh. Yeah, so looking at the decks, pretty standard deck for Spain. I was saying that. There's that H2 Church card, which is interesting because it, in effect, you can go for sort of a pure FF where you go for Halbs. I think it's 1,000 wood for 12 Halbs or 12 guard Halbs, which and obviously you get the finished geese, which are H4. But if
I've
Breeze goes
seen
for
that
that, I think,
actually really often recently. The Spanish halves into the
really, I mean,
games.
it used to be a bit of a joke way of playing, really,
Yeah,
because
exactly. And
if
now
you
it's turning into something serious.
yeah, I mean, against Malta, I guess it works quite well because there's no goon shipment stuff like that, and
Yeah.
sort of Halbs versus Pike and Crossbow works very well. And that's the interesting thing where you can look at Malta's deck. Yes, Malta has some nice shipments there. They have those 11 Irish Brigadiers, which work quite well against Halbs, and they have the eight crossbow and whatever. But again, I mean, what does Malta do here? If Breeze goes for those Halbs, it's difficult to push off, especially if you don't spot the tower going up early, which you can pretty much see down the pikes, and it kind of kills the way you play the church card. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, Julian might go for a lot of walls, which would delay it and probably give him enough time to be fine. But we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. I wonder if Julian will be going for the Expo and Pike straight away without sending the German tongue, or he's just gonna do the standard Doom. Because if he goes straight away for the 700 and 600 wood shipment, then I believe he can apply some pressure on Breeze and maybe, just maybe, try to force him into a mistake.
Yeah, and I think what Robot said earlier actually, because I'm just going off what he said in chat, because obviously Robot plays Spain consistently. Basically, if Spain doesn't mess up, it should be pretty simplistic for Spain to win here.
Hmm. Meanwhile, both sides are just coming out slowly, and by the look of it, yeah, it seemed like yeah, that's 100% FF from Revnok with that micro. I believe soon he will be.
Oh, capitalism for Spain. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I was wondering where he got the coin, because he didn't really uh, gather coin, but then I realized he sent the capitalism and he's just trickling coin. But yeah, that's gonna smooth up his fortress really nice. So now all he have to do is just sit on food, just gather food as much as possible, and then just 700 coin and age up.
See, this is the thing. This is making me think he's not going to go for the church card now, because that capitalism is okay. Apparently, it's the meta for Spain, so Robot said. But capitalism is okay, but it also delays a shipment. So capitalism is roughly, I think, 1.75 villagers or 2 villagers or something like that. So it's not quite a full shipment for 3 villagers. But you see the outpost going forward there for Breeze, which is to be expected. It's not hidden. So if Malta sort of gets some pikes out and stuff, he'd probably be able to take it down quite easily. But I mean, Breeze is going to be up very, very quickly. He goes for 700 coin first. Malta going to go for the German
taunt. Yeah, he's going for the German taunt. Yeah.
Sorry, I got the name of the card wrong, but it seems like he's going very economically here. He is going for a lot of wood, and he's probably going to be getting a hospital up just in a second. If we can just pan over to his base, we do see a market up already, and we do see a commandery going up on the left. But this is looking quite slow. There's a hospital now going up, there's a house going up, but there's no units in queue. There's only these German villagers, which really what you want to be doing here is trying to get up a decent amount of mass so you can try and repel the Spanish Age 3.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Spain is almost there to H3. The 700 coin is dropping in, and then he's picking it up. That's interesting. He went for the rods after the 700 wood.
Yeah, so rods after 700 wood is. I think this is in anticipation of some pikes coming down, trying to take down that I've forgotten what it's called now.
The outpost.
The outpost.
Yeah.
Sorry. And he might cancel it, but if he doesn't cancel it, I think he's going to go forward to get a barracks up. There's a barracks just below. That's a house actually, not a barracks. Yeah, barracks just below the outpost there. And there's a couple of dogs that are going to basically stop Julian's building of. I believe that's also an outpost, is it?
That was a depot, I believe.
Oh, that's the one you can blow up, isn't it?
Yeah, you could blow up, yeah. But then it didn't go up in time. So it's dealt with.
So that is something that Malta can do, though, can't they? They can make loads of depots which blow up and do area damage. And I think if we cast our mind back to pretty much the last game I actually watched, which was Kaiser versus Tit, and Kaiser got very angry at depots because they can, if you use them correctly, they're very good.
Yeah, I mean, now I think they kind of nerfed it, so now you have more reaction time. I think now it's like 5 seconds until it explodes, so you have decent amount of time to react to it.
But I mean, this push here from Breeze is quite premature as well. I mean, there's a couple of crossbowmen in there now. Falconet's obviously coming out, so Musketeers in queue. I don't know what Julian's got in queue, but he has a couple of Huss. If we could switch the camera, maybe try and see what Julian's got in queue instead.
He had Huss and crossbows. Yeah.
But he's got no walls up. And obviously 4 Huss from the age up as well from Breeze. So once these Falconets come in, it's going to be a big push from Breeze himself. But he needs to try and keep alive those Musketeers and those Rodoleros. If he gets them picked off too early, which I think he's going to do right now, he's going to lose a couple before Falconets come in. With a course from another dog going down there as well. But of course, it's just going. If Julian can get those Hussars onto the Falcons, it's not going to be good for Breeze.
And meanwhile, he's upgrading his Musketeers to Veteran. And Falks are here. I believe just he should just keep the rods next to the Falconers because he knows that Julian has some Hussars, so he can just sneak up into the Falconers. And then
he needs to keep them alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Julian as well.
Like, if you lose those Falconets anyhow, it's gonna be really bad.
I mean, the loss of the Falconets here is basically game over. I mean, Julian does have those 11 Irish Brigadiers coming in, which are, I think they're sort of mediocre Musketeers, sort of they're roughly the same as veteran Musketeers, and they're quite strong for Malta. But again, he's got 2 Huss now in queue. If he can finish that batch of 5, get a house up, he'll be in good stead because there's not a huge amount of anti-cav here, and really, if you could sneak out, take even one of those Falcons out, it's so good for Julian here.
Yeah, and by the look of it, I mean, I guess he's trying to take down the like the commandery post, so he can't just walk into his base with like without getting shot from towers, outposts. Well, I mean, for this case, the commandery post, but seem like a big fight is going on. The Falcons are still alive, but one of them is going down surely. The other one is going down as well. Oh my god! Now this gonna be really bad for Breeze at the moment. Now,
that's an excellent fight for Julian.
Yeah, it was really good. I guess like I don't know how those rods are alive and those Falconers still died to Hussar. That was just a really big mismarker, I would say. I mean, that should have been happened. That shouldn't happen.
Definitely. I mean, now Breeze's eco is weak. He hasn't sent in Spanish gold. Julian's eco is especially good, and he's got those 11 Irish Brigadiers, which do benefit from promotion, so they're quite strong here. 5 Lancers now coming in, but again, 5 Lancers against that massive unit is not particularly very strong. and more musketeers coming in here from Breeze, but what's a couple of more musketeers going to do to your mass when you're heavily outgunned and outnumbered by Julian, who's in H2 and has the stronger economy?
Yeah, and then the good part is those crossbows have 112 attack, 12 HP, and it's gonna be really annoying to deal with them. Meanwhile, we have some lancers coming, and one of them went down straight away, and the second one got sniped as well. And I think the third one will be going down as well. But Julian should be really pulling off from this position because he's under the attack from the outpost and he's kind of in a choke position, but he should be really careful. Another lancer shipment is also coming in. If he managed to pull it out in time, all of those crossbows will be going down, and I guess that will be the turning moment for Breeze again.
So yeah, these four lancers come out with his dog to the back as well. This is going to be a nice cleanup from Breeze. But again, I mean, yes, now Julian's going to lose his mass, but Julian has
Yeah, he still has the eco. Yeah, exactly.
Breeze has effectively no shipments he can send in. Now he's got 5 huts in, but they're going to be H2 huts, and he hasn't got a stable to make any more lancers. Julian, yes, he's slightly below on score, but if we look at Julian's deck, has he sent in the was it route to Jerusalem or?
Yeah, not yet, not just yet.
He's now sending it in, so that's going to be 1,500 of the most costly, nearly 5,500 of the most costly 2 resources, wood and coin. And I mean, Julian, if he wanted to, could age up afterwards.
Yeah,
And
he
now
could
he's mixing in combatants as
definitely.
well.
Yeah. I mean, he still has to gather coin because I think that yeah, that's gonna be. He still has to gather a bit more coin in order to age it, but that was just almost the max value out of the card. So that's 750 coin, 750 wood. That's massive for him now.
So these Cravats are about just to come out, pop onto those units, and I mean, Breeze had just a bit of time where he could have used and taken out a lot of those those crossbows. But now that those Cravats are out, there's a couple of huts at the back. Malta's units are going to get stronger and stronger because of the shipments. He's now got 1,000 wood in stock, and
Wow.
I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to go well for Breeze.
Yeah, this is really looking scary for Breeze. I mean, considering he has, he's dealing with the Kravats, and again, as you said, he will be dealing with the mass, but still he's behind in the economy.
Yeah, but again, he's behind the economy, but Julian is stacking so many resources.
Yeah, he's stacking too much wood, I believe. I don't know. He should be really looking into it.
He's stacking wood and then making sentinels, which, yes, sentinels are strong, but they don't cost wood. So he wants to get basically all of his villagers off wood. Breeze, yes, he's again slightly behind, but he's now sort of stabilizing, sending in 1,000 wood, going to be able to get a second town centre up, probably be able to take that trading post line and getting the stagecoach up. So he might be fine. You've got Callan in chat saying that Julian should build 5 towers, not a bad idea. Malta does specialise in towers, of course, and that is a good use of your wood, and Breeze probably wouldn't be able to push in there. But now Breeze is backed off, he's allowed Julian to get back into the position where Julian can kind of stabilise, get an army back together again. And I think it's just going to repeat itself. Where there's going to be a big fight. Breeze will probably take the fight most of them with the Falconets he's now going to put in with the artillery foundry. And it's just going to repeat itself until Julian has a massive eco and really strong crossbows.
Yeah, I assume like he managed to put some of those wood into work. He made a commentary post already, so it's gonna be nice for both map control and also resource gathering, because as long as the settlers are near the commentary post, they will be getting the economy bonus from that. That's 30% economy bonus from the commentary post, TCs, outposts. That's really good. But then he should be really looking to an age up at the moment, Julian.
Yeah, so Julian, I mean, he's got a bit of an army. No, he's got an army of crossbows, and he's mixing in sentinels, and he has got a gate and some wall system back in his base, so he could age up. But does he have 700 coin that you can ship? Because he really needs to. He's got no villagers on coin. He's spending what he does have on coin on sentinels. Doesn't
he-
have coin shipment to send, so it's going to be very tricky to age up, and he's got a slow age up with his Malta.
yeah, he has a. I mean, unless he sends the fast Asia port, but meanwhile, look like Reese is getting the 3 folks. Yeah, that's gonna be really good for him.
See,
Really
I mean,
good
this
for
is not the problem what Malta has. They haven't got coin, they haven't got anything that really can take out these Falcons. Yes, they've got a massive crossbows and sentinels, which are now upgraded and they are strong, but Bruce is going to push them off that coin on the left-hand side. There are some Huss and Q, but if Bruce plays this well, those 3 Falcons stay alive, and probably will put in some more Falcons as well. No, it isn't. He's now going for 8 villagers. I don't think that's 8 villages, it's 5 villages or 4 villages. But Bruce is going to have the advantage here until Julian has a way of dealing with Falcons.
Yeah, I guess as soon as you get that commentary down as well, it will be really good for him because Julian won't be able to train any Hussar, and at the same time the economy will be kind of vulnerable because there is nothing else left inside the economy to have the additional shot into enemy's unit aside from the TC.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce does need to be careful here though, because realistically, Julian can kind of push in here and just focus those Falcons and do quite well. But I think that's what he's going to be doing, and he will take out 1 or 2 of the Falcons like this. But the trade here is better for Bruce, almost certainly.
Yeah, it looked like Julian is just suiciding everything to get those Falconers, and he managed to get it. That's the interesting part. But now he has to deal with the Musketeer. But I guess the crossbows could do it, but not the Sentinels really.
It's the same thing where there's just more units here for Breeze, and Breeze is actually getting his economy back up. Julian's really desperate to try and get Breeze out of his economy, try and get back to coin mines, which if you look on the right hand side, half of Julian's villagers are on that coin mine on the right hand side, which, yes, it has 1,000 coin left, he can age up from that, but he needs to mass up now again. And this is the problem he has. He has so many villagers, but he doesn't have the resources to gather from them. He's gathering only wood and coin, which I think he's now building cravats. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe he can go into the flamethrower people, the hope throwers.
The hope throwers, he can make them, but then again, he needs the artillery foundry to start making them.
They're wooden coin, aren't they?
Yeah, they're wooden coin only. Yeah.
So he can get away of not using food as Malta here, but really, do you want to be doing that? Not really. So it's the struggle where he's got a lack of resources on his side of the island, or not the island, but the map. No real shipments to send. Now he's getting pushed off his next coin mine and food and food sort of resources on the left hand side. And Julian doesn't really have it to push it off. The thing is, though, it doesn't even matter if he loses settlers here because he hasn't got the resources to gather.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as Bruce can keep him off the resources, he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, all he left is just the gold mine. Aside from that, is just like, I mean, there are food on his side, but he can't control them because Breeze is always there with the Musketeer and Falcon.
Yeah. And I mean, this game is going to come down to the microwave from Breeze. So even a Falconet on one of his, a Hustle on one of his Falconets, one of the Falconets does go down. But I mean, look, Julian's got no army left. There's a couple of cravats which are going to come out. They're not going to be that useful. And now Breeze has Julian has no resources, and he can't mass anything, even though his economy is still bigger than Breeze.
Yeah.
And this could be a GG from a game which, if I must be honest, looked kind of unlosable for Julian at one point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would say Breeze just blundered on losing the Falconers on H2, but then apart from that, he can't do anything else when you can't get your hand on the food because you can't age up, you can't train settler or train any unit, so there's no point.
And yeah, I mean, well played by Breeze. I still think that Julian basically had the game in his hands at one point. Unfortunately, it didn't go too well for him because it was those lancers which, even though I said they weren't particularly that useful, the 5 lancers which came out of the outpost and then the 4 which came out, they cleaned up the crossbow mats, which basically swung the game.
Yeah, I feel like, I'm not sure if you agree or not, that moment he should have just went for the age up instead of remassing again with the Sentinels. Like he trained so many Sentinels at that point where he just won the fight already.
Part of it really was that miss macro. If that 2,000 wood was I don't know 1,000 wood, thousand food, he would have been able to get back into the game. Sentinels again were fine, but he could have aged up. Could have got fixed guns and stuff, which were very strong for Malta. And Breeze would have been economically damaged. He wouldn't have been able to get back into a game, and it's a difficult one really because Julian had the game in his hands. He pushed forward too heavily. He could have stayed back and basically left Breeze to sort of settle his morals. And I mean, Robot in chat are saying that the first fight was apparently awful
Yeah,
because you can't lose the two facts that easily as Breeze. And he did. He lost them to what five hus because he moved his anti-cav away from his fat.
yeah. Like it was funny that he just like the rods were alive, the Falcons were dead to the Hussars. I was just wondering what's happening.
So that's the thing about Breeze is he's a very good player, but the way he plays is very formulaic. He doesn't sort of I don't know how to explain. He doesn't sort of adapt as much as other players do. So losing those two Falcons, yes, he ended up winning because in the end of it, but that was sort of a difficult position to be in, and really I think it's up to Julian, where Julian probably made the mistake of pushing forward when he should have done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely both sides blundered heavily last match. And then I guess that just cost them the game. And wow, look at this matchup. Haudenosaunee versus Haudenosaunee in the 5th game. Let's go.
Yeah, it's not a mirror you see very often. I must be
Yeah,
honest.
like it's one of those awkward mirrors that just comes in randomly.
So I mean, Eero got some big changes. Haudenosaunee, sorry, got some big changes recently. With a
Yeah.
lot of their units. I don't know how they play out in Treaty actually, because I assume Julian has some knowledge of a later game with Shone.
Yeah, well, Haudenosaunee is one of those highly mechanical civ in Treaty. I would say the hardest civ in the game in Treaty because it requires you to have all the knowledge of the game to just play the civ. So you need to livestock boom. You need to know how to cycle the community plaza or the previous name fire pit, and also at the same time just artillery micro all the time because you need to play with the light cannon most of the time, and also it's just like it comes down to how to play and use everything that you know in the game, just apply everything there. But in
So how much?
Supremacy, it's more into, I guess, build order for
Yeah,
Haudenosaunee.
I don't think we'll be seeing much livestock booming in Supremacy. I mean, you could do. There were some players back in EP or in team games and whatnot used to do a lot of livestock booming for Eero,
Yeah.
but I doubt we'll see it in the Supremacy game. It would be quite rare. But I think the biggest differences they've made recently are to stuff like mantlets.
Yeah, the
Mantlets,
mantlets is
which are actually really strong now. I mean, they are quite slow. They have 10 range and 3.5 speed, which is or 3.75 speed, sorry, which is their main downside. But they have absolutely ridiculous range resist. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how well they're used in Treaty, if they're used at all, but that sort of thing can maybe sort of shift the balance in between the games because again, I don't really know how this matchup works. I know they're probably going to be playing H2 because Euro H2 is very strong, but again, Euro H3 is very strong because of the
Yeah.
the skirmishes they have. Forest Founders are incredibly strong.
Now the thing is, Hero in H4, well, sorry, Haudenosaunee in H4 is going to be even stronger because of the manlet card on H4, which gives them additional 30% siege and range resistant. So they will be like super tanky. So the only way you can kill them basically is just use hussar or melee infantry.
Yeah, which I mean, let's see if they come into the game. I don't actually know if he will. Breeze, I know, plays quite a bit of Eero. He used to play against Kaiser a lot because Kaiser liked to show that Portugal can lose to Ira quite easily. But anyway, besides the point. But going on to Finland, which is not a place you'd see these two actual civs in real life. This, hundreds of
Yeah.
Native American civilization. But yeah, I mean, this map's quite interesting as well. There's loads of trading posts, and there's also water, which is really good for Euro.
Yeah, I guess I get the decision under both of them picking Haudenosaunee into this map because you can just straight away go into water with your initial traverse start that you get. So you just have to chop for wood, place your traverse in the water for the dock, and then basically just go for the semi-water booming same time.
Yeah, so this was something which became popular sort of later stages of EP with B Fisher, I think it was called, where you go for an early age 1 water play, which I think is basically become the meta for Eero on water maps, and it allows you to get sort of 4 or 5 boats out and start fishing early on, which boosts your economy. And of course, you then go out with either villagers or you go out with the crates to age 2. So this sort of signifies to me that both players might play for sort of a later game because of the economies. But there is actually a fight in the middle of the map between both players, and one of them, I believe, has or both of them actually have what is that, a renegado or a pistolero, a gunman?
Yeah, it's just gunmen they captured from the treasures. It's interesting, like both of them are just hitting each other. Like it's a really awkward position. Like because I mean, at the same time, if you lose your war chief and then in H2 you're just gonna have so much trouble. I mean, aside from the part that you're gonna lose 100 XP. I mean, just give 100 XP to your opponent. Other than that, it's gonna comes down to the H2 plays as well because your war chief just gonna boost your nearby units HP by 10%. I believe that's the
I
right
believe
one.
it's it used to be 15% back in the day, but
Oh,
it's not even that. It's just you lose the ability to build a trading post, which is huge. You lose the ability to convert guardians, which again, those guardians, I think they have 36 attack and 160 HP, which they don't do very well against buildings, they don't do very well against villagers. But in an early age 2 fight against, I don't know, 5 tomahawks versus 5 tomahawks, if you've got one player who's got 2 guardians and the other player's got 1, there's a massive difference in firepower. But I mean,
yeah.
looking at the deck for that's Breeze's deck. Sorry, that's a bit confusing. They're both playing the same civ. He's got a pretty standard deck. You see the 3 privateers in H2, which is a very strong card. But other than that, pretty standard. The 5 gendarmes in H3, and yeah, just a pretty standard deck overall. And if we were to look at Julian's deck,
Both of them have the same card except for the
I don't know.
age 1 card, which is the water ceremony, and for Breeze is just a cheap fishing boats.
So
Sorry, it's the fish market. Yeah.
A water ceremony is actually very strong. In terms
Yeah,
of
it is.
boosting, I think it's like 350%. You have to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually absurd the amount it boosts. It's Aztec have it as well, but theirs is stronger because you can use obviously the
The
warriors
warrior
on
priest. Yeah.
yeah. Saying that you can now use healers on the page.
For Haudenosaunee and Lakota. Yeah.
I don't know how
but-
good they are, but
They're decent, but I mean, if you don't have the age 1 card, which boosts their effectiveness, they do one-on-one compared to settler. So it's like having one settler inside the community plaza. But then, if you want to train them, it takes so long to train.
do they cost population?
No, they don't cost pop.
Okay, so I guess in the sort of later game in treaty and stuff, you'd use them, wouldn't you? Because,
Yeah, 100.
sort of beneficial in that regard, but I don't think we'll be seeing them right now. But the chief going up, which I believe is a load of crates for Breeze, and the wise woman is crates. Sorry, the chief, I don't know what the chief is actually.
Yeah, the chief is 400 wood.
Okay. Wait, I didn't even realize I had 400 wood as an age up.
Oh, wait.
They
Actually,
have
I think
crates,
it's the
they have
travel
crates.
is. Yeah, they have crates. So I think the chief is the Travois Aja, if I'm not mistaken, and then the voice woman is the hybrid crates that you get from the Aja.
Okay. Well, we'll see in a second anyway.
Yeah.
We'll see in a second.
Oh yeah.
But-
Well, someone correct in the chat, so it's the village up.
okay, so yeah.
Even I forgot it.
So we see Julian going up with a village, which is 2 villes and a travois, and we saw Breeze going up with the wise woman, which is, I believe, 400 resources. It's 200 food, 100 wood, 100 coin off the top of my head. Might be wrong. But yeah, I mean, it looks like they're pretty much both doing the same thing, putting a travois mid-map. I didn't actually see where Breezes went, unless it went in his base. Breeze is being, yeah, basically the same distance from the TP line there for both players. That's Julian's going up with or sending the first card. He's sending the Kanye Horseman, or the Kanye West Horseman, as Hauser used to call him. And Breeze going for 5 vills first. So Breeze actually having the better economy early on, but those Kanye are going to be quite difficult to deal with if you're Breeze and Julian sends him forward.
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting. I mean, I guess Julian just said like, I'm aging up with the settler, so I might as well just go straight away for the Kenyas. But then again, 5 settler is massive.
Definitely. I mean, did Julian capitalize on these setting those first? I don't think he has. So, I mean, it's a strong start for Breeze in the case of that. And actually, those hyenas getting off that gunman are quite useful, but they could have been picked up with a cannon. They weren't. And really, I think the setting those cannon second has now really played into Breeze's advantage here, because he's got the cannon out. He's got effectively the same army as Julian, albeit with 7 less hyenas. But as the game goes on, he's going to end up being in a strong position. And now you see, I think that's 6 Tomahawks coming in from Julian, from Revnak, sorry. And I expect you to see the big button coming in just a second, and then see a fight next to one of the bases. But it's looking pretty stalematey with Breeze having the slightly better economy here.
Yeah, I guess that just comes down to the 5 settler that he got from the shipman. But at the same time, Julian is having additional army. We'll see in a second how that will turn out, because like in terms of like usually in mirror matches, it just comes down to who blunders the most, and I guess this is one of those matches.
Definitely. I mean, this is fight's coming in here now. Breeze looking like he's getting a stronger fight here. Definitely more units in general. Those hyenas, if you can just let them fire, work effectively the same as crossbows, as longbows, so where they have a faster firing rate. But those Tomahawks getting some good shots off on them now, and it's looking like, I mean, Julian looks like he's going to probably win the fight, but again, Breeze has more economy. If Breeze can get those couple of Tomahawks out of his barracks in just a second, he'll be fine. He just needs to. There you go. There's a couple of hyenas. He's going to be sending the big button in as well at some point. Unless he already has done. But, I mean, he lost a hero as well, which is huge. He hasn't sent the big button, but losing a hero is huge. Again, you said 10% HP is just massive.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the unit stat difference between them. It's really huge. By the look of it, that Warhawk is going down regardless. Should have just finished it off. I think you could just. I mean, he's just casually standing next to the Warhawk and fighting. Because
this is actually huge. Not that whole Warhawk not going down and Breeze being able to get 7 hyenas out is massive. I mean, that War Chief is on very low HP, just a sliver of HP. A couple of cannons are coming at the back there, which, I mean, both players are actually making cannons now. Breeze has 4 and Q, will probably be able to get 5 out. And again, he's up 3 villagers here and roughly equal military population. Don't know if Breeze wants to take this fight, honestly. And actually, all those wolves are now going after him, which isn't good. And Breeze really wants to get out of here, because now you've got those Gaia wolves going after you. They're doing 10 damage a shot. And those cannon coming at the back. There's not a huge amount of anti-cav on the field. saying that Kanya's now coming out from the back from Breeze. And
This
it's
is
just
a
looking,
really awkward fight.
it's flipping back and forth. Those trees in the middle aren't good for Breeze here either. One thing to
Yeah.
remember, pathing in this game isn't perfect, never is. Again, those wolves are going after people because Breeze is Breeze is going to lose his Explorer to the wolves, I believe, just in that right-hand corner.
Oh god.
That's massive.
Yeah, it is
And
massive. Like,
now a couple of Kanya are coming out again. There's no tomahawks on the field here for Breeze. Julian's got a couple of hyenas and Q, which are going to come out and bolster his numbers. But it's just Breeze needs to get back. He needs to consolidate. He's got just slightly more villagers now than Julian. Only one bug, but I mean he's going to lose this fight if he stays there. He needs to get back. Hyenas are very strong when they're massed, and it's just an overcommittal from both players. I mean, those Kenya are nice if he can get in, but Julian's going to get a couple of Kenyas out, and I mean Breeze can now basically has free reign to raid for a little bit, which he wants to do, but I mean Julian's now even sending in 700 coin. I think that actually may have been Breeze sending in 700 coin, which signifies an age up, but he switched it to the 10% attack and HP.
yes, 10% combat, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Which Julian's already sent actually, but. I mean, neither player needs to overcommit here. I mean, Julian probably needs to commit, but he can't. And Breeze has more units and needs to wait for that upgrade to come.
It's funny how both of them just did the same mistake of just fighting next to the warhead of the other side, and in the same way they lost the fight. I mean, in terms of the unit trade, I mean, at first Julian just lost the unit trade because he was fighting under the warhead, and then now Breeze. But then again, the fight is still going on. That's a really mass population of Kenyas. It's getting intense now.
Definitely. I mean, Kenyas versus Kenyas, obviously, they're going to trade quite equally. I don't see any tomahawks on the field for Julian, which is probably going to end his game here because there's a couple of tomahawks at the back there. I believe he probably has a couple of tomahawks in Kenya and Q for Julian, but I mean he's just getting outmassed here. There's enough units there on the Kenya side of things to clean up here for Breeze. And actually, there's a bit of a water fight going down at the bottom, but if I must be honest, that's not really a massive concern, seeing as the main fight here is on land. If either one of them loses land, they're basically done. It looks like Julian's going to lose most of his land here.
Yeah, I mean, Julian is already forced to go idle on the TC, and at the same time Breeze is sending the 700 coin shipment. I believe he will be looking forward into the age up, but like the Tomahawk from Julian is putting some work. They already managed to pick up some Kenyas, but at the same time, since the unit mass is just there for Breeze, he's just dominating the fight. And there goes the GG.
That's Breeze's Julian's resignation, which is, again, I mean, kind of to be expected. That 5 villager sent first for Breeze was huge, and really it reflects why Julian's sending in those 4 Kenya, and you can't rest on your laurels. As soon as you send a military card in Age of Empires 3, early on in the game, you typically have to capitalize on it. You can't send 4 Kenya straight away, and then sort of just sit on it. You have to use it, because otherwise you allow Breeze to sneak in that 5 vills. Those 5 vills over time will collect way more than the Kenya will, and then Breeze can just send 4 Kenya directly afterwards, and you get what ends up happening here, where both players are in a position of overcommittal, but Breeze is able to sort of win that war of attrition.
Yeah, and also I believe like that 10% combat that Breeze sent was just kind of the game-changing moment, because he had a really nice Tomahawk mass, and then he had a really nice mass of Hyenas, and of course he had the oh god, I forgot the name of the calf, the Kenya Riders, but then I guess the Kenyas, I guess they were the deciding moment for that fight towards the end. I guess Julian wasn't really prepared for the anti-cav. He just had Hyenas and some Kenyas, which wasn't enough.
See, that's the problem. Both players went for that sort of Hyena mass, and then Breeze diversified, and Julian didn't, which is unfortunate. because
Yeah, exactly.
at the end of the day, I mean, 3-unit composition typically beats a 2-unit composition. Especially if you're able to sort of sneak some units in there, you're able to sneak 10 tomahawks in there, which act as sort of a line infantry against the cavalry. It works well.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, going on to the next game, looks like Breeze has just picked Italy. I don't know what Julian's picking, but Japan. Which again, I don't really know how this works out as a matchup.
To be fair, I haven't seen Italy versus Japanese that often inside this tournament. Usually, Italy ends up with either Italy or Malta, but then now we are in the sixth game, and then turns out into an interesting matchup. I wonder if it will end up with the final game. That will be really intense, but we'll see that in a while. So once again, before we start the next game, thanks to every one of you inside the chat. Appreciate the support. And we are currently sitting at $9,056 for the prize pool, and all the donation and subscriptions into ESOC will be directly going into the prize pool as well. And for those who don't know, this tournament is sponsored by Tech Cafe and Microsoft, so big shout out to them and appreciate their support on making this tournament.
Sorry about that. Have you talked about how we're nearly to £10,000 on the total prize
Yeah,
pool?
already
So
thought
yeah,
about it.
you've already talked about it. I'll just reiterate it. If anyone's interested in donating or subscribing, obviously all the subscriptions and donations go towards the prize pool, and hopefully we can get to 5 digits for tomorrow, which we do have Aussie Drongo and Maito casting. So
For
that
the
should be a
final.
really nice final, and I think they're also casting the third place match. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, they're casting the third place match as well. So yeah, definitely stick around and watch it tomorrow. Hopefully we can try and sort of hit that $10,000 and make it by far the largest ESOP tournament ever, which is already capped. The largest before this actually, I think it was £4,000 the last one. If you count the escape area one, which was a LAN. But yeah, that was £4,000. So it was more than double the last ESOP tournament. So it's really impressive. Obviously supported by Microsoft and supported by Tech Cafe, which obviously had their own tournament back in last time I casted, so it must have been about a year and a half ago. But yeah, you guys can do !Tech Cafe in the chat, have a look at the sponsor, and I think we're going to go straight into the next game as soon as it starts.
Yeah, we're still searching for the next game. Not there yet.
But the next game is, of course, Japan versus Italy, which,
Yeah.
I mean, again, I know a little bit about Italy now, and obviously both of them seem to be quite good late game Civs.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, so obviously Japan, way back in TAD, everyone's least favourite Civ by the sounds of it. Everyone likes to complain about them. But
They still do.
people still do. I think in Treaty they're quite good as well, aren't they? In general.
They are decent. I guess they're good in all game modes at the moment.
Yeah. So
They're decent.
Japan, obviously known for having very strong Ashigawa Musketeers. They also have very strong Yumi archers and sort of daimios, that sort of stuff. They're incredibly strong, strong units for Japan. But again, Italy, they have a strong. I've forgotten what they're called now. The Age 4 skirmishers with a little trumpet. They do the old Harrison bone whenever they fire, and they distract all units around them. And obviously, Italy has an incredibly strong economy. Some people call them for it to be nerfed. I'm not going to weigh in on that. I don't know much about it, but should be quite a good game, especially with Bruises Italy. I mean, it's match point effectively now, isn't it? Isn't it as well?
Yeah, I mean, if Breeze wins, it's gonna be He will be proceeding into the finals, and if Julian wins, then it's gonna goes to the final match for them.
Yeah. So if we trust the predictions here, apparently 60% of people think that Breeze is gonna win,
Holy.
and 84% that Julian's gonna win. So there's a favourite in this matchup for sure.
Yeah, 179k channel points on Julian, and I think it was around 60k for Breeze.
On a map which is quite good for Japan actually here, because
Yeah,
there's
this map is really good actually because there is the livestock on the small island there. So if you start early and then just try to scout it out and capture them, you can get those. Uh, I think it's water buffaloes or cows, if I'm not mistaken. So either of them, it's a big livestock, so it's really good
so
for
yeah,
Japan.
it's really good for Japan here, especially if you can put them down on the shrines, which benefit them greatly. By the looks of it, I think Julian's going to be going for the Consular Age 1, which is completely standard for Japan. We'll get a couple of those water buffaloes, Breeze. Unluckily enough, not being able to find many actually from the looks of it. But overall, good map for Japan. I think there's also a play here where Japan can go for the Cardin Age 1, which boosts their explorers and makes them gather more from treasures. Because this map has quite good treasures. I don't know if Julian will go for that. It's a bit unorthodox. But overall, good map for Japan, and as you said, quite a good matchup for Japan in general.
Yeah, well, the good point on this map is you can easily turtle with Japanese, and just because I mean there's a really nice river on the side, so you can just wall the side and prevent any sort of raids from the side. And other than that, you can just focus on the heads of fight. I mean, forward basically, and then overall this map has two gold mines on the small islands on the left side. So if either side having gold issues, they are forced to go on the small island and try to move and set their settlers there. But usually the 1v1 supremacy guys won't get into that part, so
Yeah,
I get,
not quite no.
yeah,
Um,
I guess that won't
but
happen.
looking at the decks, Julian's deck is for some reason called Courland, which of course is the area between Latvia and Lithuania. But his deck seems pretty standard for Japan. It goes for Kabi first. Does have some interesting cards in there for Yambushami, which are the weird dragoon Kovarin hybrid cavalry for Japan in
Yeah,
there, which is not most standard, but uh, generally speaking, it's a pretty standard deck. It's not too much to shout about in there. Quite H4 heavy though.
yeah. But then I would say one downside on using the Yabusami against Italy, especially on H4. If Italy is on H4, then you have the Berserkers, and they'll do magic against ranged cavalry. So Julian should be really careful on when to use that shipment and how to use it.
Yeah, definitely. But looking at Julian's deck, that's not Julian, that's Breeze's deck. Sorry. Again, I mean, I think for Italy, that's quite a standard one. It's lacking in H4 shipments actually.
I feel this is quite aggressive deck for Italy, especially on it's really heavy on H2. He has triple mercenary shipment on H2, and then he has halberdiers on H3. That's interesting. That's something that I haven't seen often with Italy on H3. But then I guess it comes down. Yeah, it's really.
It's a resource efficient shipment. It's actually really good, but I mean, 8 halbs is not particularly useful. I don't think, especially versus Japan. What are you using 8 halbs against? But we'll see how Breeze uses it. I mean, do you have some players like Callan? If you go historically, likes to use a lot of halbs. There's a bit quick game pause here. Don't know who by. Um,
It's
but
by Julian.
by Julian. Okay. So nobody in chat to talk about how Breeze pauses the game, as people were talking about that earlier for some reason. But I mean, looking at the age one, both players seem to have a decent age one. Julian's age up time is quite slow. looking like it's going to be sort of the high 4 minutes, or at least mid 4 minutes, which is quite slow for Japan. He is collecting a lot of resources over to the right-hand side. Breeze, comparatively, is going to be aged up earlier.
May he rest
Do
in
we
peace.
see something going down for Breeze in base? I think that's a Lombard, is it?
Yeah.
So there's a Lombard going down for Breeze in base with his Architect, so that's kind of standard, I think, for Italy. Don't see any military buildings on the map. So it's not indicative of a rush, I don't think, here for Breeze.
That's kind of interesting. Breeze went for Devil House on age 1. That's something you don't really see often with Italy. I'm not sure if that was by mistake or it's intentional. Maybe he's trying to make some H2 plays, as we saw in his deck as well. I mean, it's quite aggressive deck on H2. But then, I guess, I mean, since you go Devil House on age 1, yes, that's the intention.
So he is going for an outpost, which is going to go slightly forward. To see where he posts it, because that's pretty important. Julian going down for a wall on the top north of the map already. Where's Bruce bringing this? Is he bringing it next to the mill or something? No, he's just strolling over to the side. He's going to go for. That's the cathedral wagon, isn't it? The first card he's sending.
Yeah.
Which I think is standard.
Yeah, that card gives a cathedral, and at the same time, whenever you invest into your Lombards generate XP as well. So that's just like 2-in-1 card.
Strong card H2, sorry. We'll get his XP curve going up. And I think he's just sent a Lombard card as well, which is, I believe, 700 resources in the Lombard.
Yeah, 700 coin into the Lombard, yeah. And I believe it gives him additional Lombard as well.
Yeah,
so
it does. It gives you a wagon for it as well.
Yeah.
But Julian going for a very early wall here, just directly into H2 goes for a wall. I don't know what he aged up with. I assume it's
the big shrine.
Big shrine of Shogun shrine. That's the one.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't have all the gatherers on it, so it's actually gathering less than it typically would do. Which I'm surprised about, because he got all the food, all the cows and stuff. But I'm guessing he's waiting for more cows to go.
Yeah, I believe he has 3 cows on it. Not sure if, I mean, I'm not sure how else is he planning to set the livestock on him, but then, or any hunts, because there's no hunts there either.
No, so it's a bit of a misplacement actually, but that doesn't matter too much. By the looks of it, it's 5 calves of some sort. I think they're the Cossack riders.
Yeah, those are outlaws, the Cossack daredevils. So they have been nerfed on this patch, but I believe they still do a really decent.
So they're weird units, these ones. They can dismount. They're not the strongest cavalry actually. They're quite weak as cavalry go.
Yeah.
But you could dismount them into effectively musketeers, and they have quite good siege. So they're quite good just to take down all the shrines. Which Julian is actually quite low on, 110 shrine population at 7 minutes isn't amazing. But actually 3 saloons coming out, so this is a mercenary strat.
I don't really know what's the idea behind the 3 saloon. Maybe, I mean, it's kind of good and bad at the same time, because you get 1.8 coin trickle and decent amount of XP, because you will be building the saloons, but then at the same time you're spending 1 shipment on it. I guess it still is a really good shipment, and now he's sending the Maltese support card, so he's gonna get fire throwers, hospitalers, and sentinels.
Is that all it does? It only gives you 3 saloons?
Yeah, that's all. And you can't rebuild them.
That card seems terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's 600 wood, isn't it, basically? But
yeah.
Why would you ever need 3 saloons? Everything in them is so expensive. I don't really get that. But I think Breeze is just going to be massing most Cossack guys, and then the. So what's in that shipment he just sent me?
It was the Maltese support card, so he get the fire throwers, the sentinel, and also hospitalers.
He built
Oh,
Inquisitor.
actually, he doesn't get Sentinel. Sorry, he gets the Inquisitor. Yeah. So Hospitaller, Inquisitor, and
Well,
Fire.
I think Inquisitors are interesting because they've got 15 siege attack, and effectively like they're kind of weird halbs in a way. I guess.
Oh god,
But
this is the rush. This is the rush on the big shrine. I feel, isn't
the thing
it?
is that Julian's going out with the
Oh, he dismounts.
Shogu. Yeah, you could dismount them into
Yeah.
musketeers. Which is
I
like,
mean, why did he dismount them at that position?
but I mean, this is also just huge for Julian. Like, look how many villages are there. They're gonna go down. The flamethrowers are taking them out. There's the
Daimyo.
Daimyo, which actually looks like it might go down if
Oh
Julian
god, yeah.
plays it, right? A couple of calves coming down the bottom, which are going to take down all those villages, and this is looking really good for Breeze. This unorthodox, weird way of playing with 3 saloons is looking really good.
I never noticed how fast those Cossack Daredevils melee attack is. It's really fast. Like,
It's 1.25, isn't it? Cool.
yeah, it's
It's
one.
one.
It's
which
one.
is-
Holy.
So,
It's
yeah,
1
normal-
and 17 attack. Oh my god, that's massive.
I mean, 17 times, was it? You times it by 1.5, isn't it? So it's like 23, 24. And that's like,
Yeah.
it's way more.
But then-
it's like 25, yeah.
But then in
is-
like 3 seconds, which usually most of the unit hit, it's massive.
Yeah, I mean, say how many villages has Bruce lost? Not Bruce. Julian's lost here. He's on 19 vills with 120 shrine pop, which isn't great.
Yeah, I
He
think he
is a-
lost 3 settlers if I'm not.
Yeah, so he's. It's an interesting position to be in because Bruce is now way ahead on the unit count. He's way ahead on the villager count, but Julian is age 3. He's got Asher Goes. He's got the upgrade in already. But another push coming in from Bruce, saying that the unit count here is quite dishonest. Because of course Cossack riders or whatever they're called are like 3 pop or something.
Yeah.
Outlaws obviously cost a lot more pop than they actually are. And I mean, if Julian can hold here and he's able to push out with some flaming arrows, he's able to push out with an ash humans, he might be fine. But it's looking strong from Bruce.
I really believe, like, earlier you noticed Breeze was pushing in and rushing in. I feel he could easily siege down the big shrine with that unit mass that he has, because Julian had nothing to deal with those units. So
It's not worth it though because it gives him time.
yeah, exactly.
The time is good, and obviously it gives you a lot of XP. But if Julian basically keeps his villager cap, like he did, you're still behind because all you've got is these age 2 Cossack units, and then Julian's in age 3, able to push through a significant amount of investment into age 3 units and kind of get dominated. Meanwhile, Bruce is now aging up. Julian's got the time he needs to sort of build up his army again, but he's significantly far behind in terms of in villager count, Julian. So again, it's Julian's giving Bruce the time now to mass a massive army. Yes, a lot of these Cossack units aren't the greatest, and a lot of these Inquisitor units aren't really that good. But once you get to age 3, now the speedy age up is coming in, which is going to reduce the time drastically. Fight coming in from the top from Julian here. But really, what does Julian do here? Bruce is going to get up, he's going to have a better army, he's going to have more units, he's going to have a better economy, and it's just difficult for Julian to do anything here.
Yeah, I mean, now Julian got the treasure, the windmill, and which Breeze captured it, but then now it's the free capture, so that's a 1 food per second. That's something. But
It's
then
roughly a villager in a bit, isn't it?
yeah, exactly, it
Villager
is.
and
I
a
mean,
half.
it's not that much.
But I mean, what's interesting here as well is Julian's. It's not reflective in the economic output, but Julian's shrine pop is really low. 7, effectively 7 shrines, including the Shogun one.
Yeah.
At 12, 13 minutes in the game is poor.
Yeah, I believe Breeze just sieged down bunch of the small shrines here and there, but still, I guess Julian didn't really get the time to invest into more shrines around the map. Seems like he's trying so hard to control the map with those walls. I mean, that makes sense, but Breeze should be looking forward to send the Falconet shipment himself as
Thing is here, Breeze, actually a lot of his units aren't very useful. Like he's got so many of those Cossack riding, which again he can dismount them and they are okay. But at the same time, and just not as efficient as it would be if he was just building his actual units, which I guess
Yeah.
is great to sort of regard here.
I mean, all he has to do is to upgrade them inside the salon, so they will shadow tech to
Oh, do they
H3.
upgrade?
Yeah, they do upgrade. So all of the outlaws,
Oh.
they will shadow tech after you get the upgrade inside the salon. But
Okay, I did not realize that. So actually, we're quite good then.
yeah, but then he needs that.
Actually, with all these flaming arrows, and as I said, Julian has a very good artillery rifle. So he sees the coves, he walks back, he knows he can't take the fight, and his economy is slowly getting up there again. He's going to be able to send villagers twice. Remember, Japan has 7 villagers he can send twice if he's able to get that XP in.
Yeah.
I don't think he's sent that yet. He's going for Yabusame, and Ashes, and he's slowly getting his shrine population back over again, which. Again, it's not looking great for Julian, but at the same time, he is able to sort of pump out the unit mass he needs. And Japan, as the game goes on, will get stronger and stronger units. We do see Falconets now coming out from Bruise, and he will get probably a number more of Falconets and Artillery Foundry or some more Culverins. But I mean, if Julian does have a chance here.
Yeah, he do have the chance because but then wait a second, look like Breeze is going to H4, and I would say as soon as he hit H4, then Julian will be in trouble. Just because of the Berserkers, they will deal with those Ashes and also the Yabusamis, as I said earlier. But then, wait,
Okay, I guess this is going to be started from the save file game because.
I was shocked for a second. I was like, "What the hell?" Okay, so he DC'd apparently.
DC, which is fine. It means thankfully we're not on EP where we.
Oh, wait a second. This will be really bad for Julian actually right now, because once you load the save file, the buff from the shogunate will be completely gone. So it's basically like you don't even have the shogunate. And
The Shogunate. What's the Shogunate's buff again?
it makes the units cheaper and also train time speed for the military units. And aside from that, you can't even retrain the daimyo if he dies by any chance.
That's actually a bug which is still in the game.
Yeah, that's a bug from the save
So
file, Japanese.
it might be worth. I've forgotten who's the admin. It might be worth talking to an admin.
Yeah, I think we should talk because I mean, there is no way he can fight without the shogunate.
Okay, so let's.
All right.
Should we have a quick break? Let's have a quick break from the stream.
Yeah, and also while the admins are just discussing about that, so
yeah, we'll let the admins talk about it. It might be that we have to go back and have a different game in effect because I don't know how. Thing is, I don't know how.
I mean, isn't it like? I mean,
how impactful is that going to be? You don't know.
It's really massive. Like, imagine if he loses his daimyo, he can't retrain it again. So that's what 10% attack buff, and at the same time, all of his units train slower and they're more expensive.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's always the point that Breeze did disconnect, but typically that would be the old rule on that. Actually, if you go back to again EP days when we didn't have the ability to restart a game midway through, if someone disconnected, what would happen is whoever was the person who didn't disconnect would be able to basically choose if they won or not. In essence, typically people would, if the game was kind of even, they'd say, oh, let's just play replay again or whatever. But we'll see what the admins say. We'll go to a sort of a quick break for about sort of a couple of minutes to see what Noel and whoever is adminning the game. I've actually forgotten who it is. Probably Brooke and people like that. And yeah, we'll get back to you guys in roughly a couple of minutes. Oh, I guess to sort of break up the silence, I'll have a little chat about what's going to be happening tomorrow and the rest of today. So today we actually have another game between, if I could find it, I need to find the brackets first. Between Warsword and Absolute Utopia. That's the quarterfinal. My mistake. It's Warsword versus Uginids, or however you say his name. I can't actually tell. Which is going to be happening directly after this, which I think is going to be casted by Widgie, and either by Jager or Lena. I can't actually tell, but it's definitely Widgie is casting it. And then tomorrow we have the third place and fourth place match, which is going to be between obviously the two losers, I guess, of the semi-finals. And then we also have the final, which is going to be against the winners of the semi-finals, casted by Maito. If you guys don't know who Maito is, I'd be very surprised, but Maito is a previous, I guess, player and caster for Age of Empires 3. He's now the, I guess I can say this, he's now one of the developers for Age of Empires 3 and Age of Empires 4. But he was one of the sort of top end players. He was in many finals. A couple of years ago, I think he's played competitively. Last time, probably about a year ago or so. And the other casters could be Aussie Drongo, which of course has stepped away from the Age of Empires 3 scene slightly in the last couple of years. Or last year, I guess, since Age of Empires 4 came out. But he used to be sort of a premier caster, streamer, sort of YouTuber around Age of Empires 3, and he's got his start here. So the game is very sort of inclined. Sort of it's in this history, if you will. I mean, lots to look forward to tomorrow. Aussie Drong is an incredibly good caster, and as is Maito. Actually, Maito's a very good caster as well. Um, People are saying rematch. We don't actually know what's going on with the rematch and what's going to be happening next game. We will know just in a minute. Jager's back, so you can hear me, can't you?
Yeah.
I'm just letting them know about what's happening tomorrow and who's casting or whatever. Are you going to be casting the next series as well?
Yeah, I will be there for the second series of the semis as
So
well.
be you and Widgie then casting the next series, which should be quite good.
Yeah.
Widgie, actually, I mean, again, I haven't watched a huge amount of casted games recently, but Widgie, I mean, Widgie, yourself, Lena, obviously Harrison, but he's been around for ages, and Lionheart have really been pulling all the sort of odds to get all the games cast and doing very well actually as well. So yeah, I mean, we used to have quite a lack of good casters at ESOC. If you go back to EP and actually even into the early DE days, and now it's sort of turned around. We've got a massive grouping of really good casters, which is it's quite difficult to get a game to cast now. So that's looking up, and obviously having a massive tournament like this is a sort of changed perspective of casting how sort of the game is casted. How actually we're not using an in-game caster anymore. Normally, how you used to do it is used to have a game which was basically casted from a POV of the main caster, then you have a co-caster, and now we've switched to a system where Joshua is. You guys can't hear him, but he's in the behind the scenes. He's set up all the graphics. He's doing an excellent job, and he's also the I don't know what you'd call him, like sort of a cameraman. So we're just watching this on Discord, and we're seeing it through Discord, and he's the one pulling around all the stuff on the camera, which is definitely something to be congratulated. He's doing an excellent job. But did you ever cast the other way? So you had, if you were doing it POV? Yeah.
Yeah, all of the 3T games I cast by myself. Usually have some co-casters as well, but yeah, I'll do the POVs there usually. And also I cast the I forgot the name, the Ace of Spade tournament, the 2v2 with
Oh,
Joshua. I
okay.
think the finals I was casting with Joshua, but I wasn't the POV. Joshua was.
So yeah, it's quite new to me, especially the way we used to do it with again. I mean, A's UI also is incredible, and he's put a lot of effort into it. Back even in EP, it was incredible. DE is also he's stepped up beyond the mark. He doesn't get paid for it at all. But yeah, it's definitely a new experience to me. to cast like this, but I think it works well. And you guys will have to let us know if you think it works better, if you think it works worse, or whatever, and we can work on that. But yeah, just a reiteration of what's happening. Breeze lost connection mid-game. Lost connection mid-game last game. It was, I think he was ahead, but Julian also had obviously had a chance to win. So we're trying to see if we can get the game back, try and get it sort of rolling again, so we can get the save game used. Okay, I don't know if you guys could hear Joshua, but what we're going to be doing now, we've just got confirmation. Okay, you can't hear him, but anyway, what he just said was that we're going to be casting the rec the rest of the game. Unfortunately, you can't actually spectate a saved game live. So what we're doing now is we're going to load up the saved game. Going to be recording it in just a second. Obviously, there was that issue with the Shogunate, which seems to be resolved, so that should be fine. But we will be getting back to you in just a second to actually put on that save game, and we can get back to going, get back to seeing the rest of the game, which hopefully should be quite exciting because it was quite an equal game at the end there.
Yeah. So for the time being, we're just waiting for the file to be sent to Joshua, and then you can just play it out, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, just a reiteration of what's been happening so far. Breeze versus Julian. So Breeze is actually 3-2 up. Breeze won with Germany, Spain, and Haudenosaunee, whilst Julian has won with Italy and Brit. And so the game we're going back into is a Japan versus Italy game, whereby Julian is playing Japan. He's sort of on the back foot, if you will, going into this game. You'll see in just a second when we get the saved game back. And Breeze is in quite a nice position. He's aging up to age 4 and has the larger mass. But at the same time, as we all know, Julian going into the late game is very strong with his treaty experience. I believe we have the saved game just now, so we'll be loading up in just a second. You see it on your screen in just a moment. And we can get straight into it.
Yep. And once again, just to double check, as soon as we get into the game, can we check the, move into Japanese and then check the unit prices so we can just double check if the Shogunate bug was there or not. So it will be really good.
So I think
But
it's
I'm
worth
pretty
pausing.
sure it will be there. Yeah.
So if it's worth pausing.
Oh, wait. Well, even the recorded file is desyncing, so no matter how many more time we try to run the save game file, it will desync all the time constantly. So
So the save game isn't loading very well. We'll have a look. I don't know if you guys can actually see this. I don't think Joshua's changed the scene, but effectively we're trying to load into the game, and it's desyncing as soon as it's starting. Hopefully it doesn't, and hopefully we can watch it. But let's just be hopeful, I guess.
Trying again. Let's see if it works or not. Yeah, it desyncs again.
So it's desyncing. So I don't know what the best way forward is. It's either we basically announce what happens to the game or it gets replayed. I don't know how it would work. You have to ask. So we're just going to check with the admins and we'll see. I guess once we've got some extra time as well, we'll talk about how any donations and any subscriptions that go towards ESOC in the next 2 days will be going towards the Knights of the Old World prize pool, which we're hoping to get to 5 figures. And I mean, $10,000 is an obscene amount of money for a game which, admittedly, isn't the biggest Age of Empires, biggest game of the Age of Empires franchise, but it still has a thriving community. So $10,000 is huge. And obviously sponsored by Microsoft, sponsored by Tac Cafe. You do !TAC in the chat, and you can get to their sponsorship page. Tac Cafe, I believe, is an app which helps you sort of revolutionize your cafe business if you do run a cafe business, and it sponsor course, is someone who is heavily ingrained in the Age of Empires 3 community. He's someone who's always been around for the last couple of years, and he just really enjoys the game. So he's um, that donation there is coming from a true supporter. But I guess we'll get back to you when we know what we're doing for a game. Okay, so
All
Breeze
right.
actually won, I guess, which is
I mean, that was. I guess it was already known. I mean, how can you win without your shogunate as Japanese?
so actually Breeze won the series, I guess. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
bit of a hopped. Don't know what you'd call it. That's a bit of a crappy way to finish the series, I guess. Where you don't see the end of a game. But that's just unfortunately how the game's a little bit buggy with save files. But I guess Breeze goes on to the final. It's 4-2. It was a match point, and Breeze goes on to the final. It's unfortunate you guys can't see the game. I wasn't able to see it either, so I'm slightly annoyed myself. But yeah, Breeze goes on to the final, or Revnat goes on to the final. Sorry. So I guess we're going to go on to the next semi-final then, which is who's it?
Force
Ugars.
versus Ungers, yeah.
Yeah. Which should be quite a good one to watch. Um, and I'm going to hand you off to Jager. You're going to continue casting, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, you will
And
be heading off after this?
I think Widgie's going to take over from me.
Oh, all right.
If he
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't, I'll come back. But I think he wanted to cast, and if I must be honest, I'd quite like to see a Widgie cast. I quite enjoy him. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for letting me cast. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to get back into casting. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the series and tomorrow.